Hello, everybody. Surprise! I'm back again. It is Michelle with Moksha Grace Coaching. And for the whole week, I'm doing a love series. So thank you for joining me. And we'll wait for a few more people to hop on. All you 9 to 5ers out there, hopefully you're getting off work, getting in your car, getting ready to go home, or even shutting down, your office and your computer. But I'm glad that you are tuning in because today we are going to talk about when your job doesn't love you. And we're going to talk about and go into what exactly does Michelle mean by that. And we're going to have a very open and honest conversation about that. I will absolutely take questions, comments, post them, in the comments. Let me know where you are, where you're from. If you're in Florida, if you're in the US, where are you in this great, big, beautiful world? But it is the week of love. And that is what we were talking about, is different love that comes up in our life every day, every moment. Thing is that everything stems from love or fear. And when we function from a place of fear, that is when a lot of negative stuff can happen. And we're going to talk about that as far as how that impacts you at work, whether it's love or whether it's fear, and who's love and who's fear. So there's a lot to dive into with this topic. As we always do, we are going to bring ourselves into the moment because, yes, this is an extension of moment of presence. And so I want to bring you in. And after your long day, I want you to be able to just be in the moment and breathe and take some time for yourself. So as long as you're not driving, close your eyes. But if you are driving, keep them open. And let's take a very deep breath after the day you've had. We're going to hold it. And then we're just going to exhale slowly. Just let the day go. Maybe something happened that just upset you or annoy you, or maybe it was just one of those days where nothing stops, right? The phone doesn't stop ringing, the emails keep coming. Big deep breath in, all that chaos. And just exhale slowly. I know everybody is crazy busy. It is just a crazy time. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Lots of crazy. Big deep breath in. And exhale. Good. At the end of the day, before you walk in your house, whether you're going home to a spouse, a partner, a roommate, your fur babies, it's always good to cleanse that energy. And it can be something as simple as breathing in the car and just doing those deep breaths. You don't have to wait and do like an official meditation. You can actually do it on your way home. If you're not going to do meditation, turn up the music. Put on a really good song that just gets you out of your head and makes you forget what went on throughout the day and just let you kind of put your hair down and let loose and release all that stuff. And if that doesn't work, then like literally shake it off. Like just shake it off, right? Just get that yucky stuff out of there. Yes, that's a technical term, yucky. So again, if you are here, thank you for being here. Let me know that you're here. Post in the comments and let me know where you're from. So, all right, today's topic, your job doesn't love you. What do I mean by that? There's that old saying, and we all know it. If something happened to you tonight, tomorrow, God forbid, and you didn't show up to work, they would have somebody to replace you fairly quickly. And that's not a negative. I mean, the show must go on and the business has to keep going. That's great. But don't give your life and your soul when it's not reciprocated as far as appreciation. And also, we have to look at how you want to show up. And if you're unhappy, why are you still there? So let's take the why are you still there? Because I think that one is a big one. And I know a lot of people that are dealing with positions that they're not very happy with. They're being overworked, they're overwhelmed, they don't have enough help. Uh, People have left and they haven't replaced those people, those positions. There's hiring freezes. There's all kinds of stuff, right? But you're there. And what happens when you're there? They start piling stuff on top of you. Hey, can you take care of this? Can you take care of this? And while it feels good in the moment, like, oh, they're trusting me with this. Cool. Yeah, you're just adding all of this stuff, and it's a mountain of stuff that's going to get taller and bigger than you. And at some point, you're going to lose yourself. You're not going to be able to find yourself underneath that pile of work. So if you think, right, if you think or you feel that having that work pile on top of you makes you irreplaceable, no, that's not true. It just means that you have less life because you are working, right? You're living to work. You're not working to live. And there is a difference. If all you do in your 24 hours is sleep and work, and there's very little enjoyment, that's a problem. And it's a problem that can be adjusted, and that's a good thing. It does take a shift in your perspective. So if you're still in a role and you're being overworked and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you have a couple options, right? Your options are to stay, suck it up, buttercup, and stay, or you got to start looking for a role, another job, whether it's a different organization or whether it's the one that you're already working in. But here's a couple questions to ask yourself. These are some exercises you can do. It doesn't have to be right this minute, but things to think about. Do you like what you do? Are you in love with your job? Are you in love with your job? Forget your job being in love with you, but are you in love with your job? Are there aspects of your job that you love? When was the last time you looked at your job description? I remember I was helping a boss one time hire, and they asked me to go through the job description with the new, potential applicants. And I was going through it and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this company. And it reminded me of all the reasons why I started in the first place. And as I looked at the job description, mine and the role we were hiring for, I was like, how did I slip so far away, drift so far away from this? And sometimes we just get so busy and we're doing so many other roles that they're asking of us that the one thing that we really love, we don't get to do as much anymore. And so again, that's going to be a shift. And who is in charge of making these shifts? Yeah, you can say your boss, but is it possible that you can start looking at things differently and make a perspective shift? And I'm not saying to take any of this on as, judgment or blame, not at all. All I'm saying is that we get lost underneath the pile of stuff and we forget who we are and why we're there. So when we go back to the job description, when we go back to our why for wanting to be there in the first place, when we go back to what we actually love, we get to the core of it. And then we can remember and we can see that light again. So let's take teaching, for instance, just as a example. Teaching, man, teachers have to deal with so much, right? They have to deal with all the kids. They have to deal with the parents. They have to deal I was one of them. They have to deal with homework and teaching to the test, and they have to deal with not getting paid enough. And if they want supplies in their classrooms, they have to buy it themselves, or they have to ask the kids' parents to bring it in. And it's just this crazy loop. And every year it's the same thing. There's not enough time in the day. You bring work home, you've got to grade papers in bed. It's crazy what you have to do. But what's at the core? What started you on that path in the first place? Well, when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher. There was a time because I love kids and I wanted to inspire and I wanted to give them aha moments and I wanted to teach them things that were going to be important. So, as a teacher, if you're a teacher, using this as an example, do you get to do that? Do you get to do what you love? Social work. I worked at the hospital, right? I worked in the healthcare system. Social workers. You know how many times I would hear the social workers say, I'm not even remotely doing what I was trained to do because they're so busy doing discharge paperwork and planning and arranging stuff and listening to gripes and all this other stuff. Gripes from patients, from families, from staff. Social work is not what it used to be. It used to be helping the patients and the families and really doing, and social work, ladies, men, you do an amazing job. What I'm saying is you don't get to do the core of what you really got into the profession for, which is to really help the patient and the family, not make sure that their discharge work is ready and their, home health stuff is there when they get home. So when we look at, again, the core of why you chose your profession, how can you fall back in love with the work that you do? And then how can you do more of that part of it? And so it takes a little renovating of your work. It takes some time to look at your schedule and how can things be done in a different way so that you have more time to do the stuff you love. If you can't do those kind of changes and the workload is too much, then we come back to the original question. Why are you staying? Should you stay or should you go? If you decide to stay, notice how I said that and I worded that. If you decide to stay in the situation that potentially is not good for you or toxic, you can decide to make some changes, like if you're working 60 hours a week versus the 40 you're supposed to, cut back your hours to what they're supposed to be. What's the outcome going to be if that happens? And then you have to look at that and go, okay, if I do that, can I do more can I be more efficient with the time that I'm at work? Are there other things that you can let go of and delegate? Because sometimes that's a big one, is that we don't want to delegate. We think that we have to take on everything ourselves because nobody else can potentially ever do it as good as we do it. Would you rather be happy? Or would you rather be right? Something to think about. So if you decide to stay and make some changes and shifts so that you can do more of what you love, then you can look at, okay, how can I enjoy my day more? And what would that look like? Would it look like, when you walk in your office, how does it feel to walk in your office? If you have an office, maybe it's a cubicle, maybe it's a spot, whatever it is. But when you sit down to get started in your day, how do you feel? How do you feel on the drive in? And what are some things that you can do for yourself so that you can enjoy what you do have control over? Is it what you're wearing? I used to love to dress up in my colorful suits and make sure that I had matching shoes, and just, it was fun. Yeah, the work, some of it was really tough and it was hard towards the end. But I will say that I had fun picking out outfits and dresses that I could wear. Look around your office. Do you have any of your favorite things in there? Because when you have some of your favorite things in there, when you're sitting there and you're having a moment, you can see something that makes you smile. And maybe it's a thank you note. If you're a teacher, maybe it's a thank you note from last year's students or the parents. If you work in a situation like a healthcare facility, and you're a nurse or something like that, I know you don't have a lot of personal space. Is there a button? Is there something you can put in your pocket? And when you put your hand in there, it reminds you of something good, something that puts that smile on your face. So these are some little ways that you can help you and your mind and your heart be there in the moment, but be happier. Be the happier version of you. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I used to do before I would go to a meeting with a boss that was challenging at times. I would set the tone for myself. I would imagine, what if the meeting went great? What if the meeting went the way I wanted it to? What if she listened to what I had to say? And what if we had fun in the meeting and just talked about, whatever, but we had fun with it? What if my ideas were heard? And when you get yourself in that headspace, heart space, even if it's on your way, driving in and you're daydreaming, you set the tone and you walk in with that energy as if it's happening. And so when you walk in like that and you're presenting yourself like that, how do you think you're taken as you walk in, how you're received? Your energy comes before you when you walk into a room. You know those people, right? They walk into a room and they're like confident, their head is held high, and they sit at the head of the seat at the table. You know those people. We all do. You're like, wow, she must really like being here. He must really like being here. How can you feel the same way? And so sometimes it's our energy that has to shift. Because remember, we cannot change other people. We can't. We can show up differently so they respond differently to us. That's what we got. That's what we have control over. And you get to do that. It's just a matter of practicing. And no one is good at it when you first start. Just like when you go work out at the gym. Is your first day your best workout ever? No. You're probably using like a 5 or a 10-pound weight. But when you start going in 3 times, 4 times a week, and you start really exercising and you're lifting those weights and you're getting better and better, whatever it is, maybe it's not working out, maybe it's something else, whatever you want to do. The point is that repetition. And so the better you get at this daydreaming and setting your energy up higher, by the time you get to work, by the time you get to this meeting, you're going to be in a better heart space, a better frame of mind. And then when you do present your ideas, they may be received differently. You're going to notice a difference. Try it. What's the worst that can happen if you try something new? Because we do know one thing for sure. If you always do what you've always done and you think you're going to get something different, that is the definition of insanity. So you got to change it up. If you want something different, you got to do something different. So if you walk in a meeting, and I used to do this too, there were 2 doors. And if the meeting was good, the last month or the last week when I went in one door, I would go in that door again. If the meeting wasn't good, I would switch. I'd go in through a different door. And I'd sit in a different seat too. because that shifts the energy in the room. And that's what you're working with. That's what you're working with. And don't sit in the back row. Make sure you have that seat at the table, whatever it is, even if it's a simulated virtual table. Don't hold yourself back. Because if you're there and you reread your job description, you were hired because you were the best of the best. Don't forget that. Why did they hire you? Be that person. Show up like her or him again. You'll be surprised at what will happen. So it's not that I'm putting all of this on you. I'm not. What I'm saying is there's certain things you do have control over. Because a lot of people feel I'm not in control. I have no control over what I'm asked to do. I have no control over, my boss being mad at me all the time. No, but you have control over you. And you have control over your emotions, your surroundings, specifically your surroundings of your body, what you're wearing. So make sure that you're showing up as the best version of you. And if you're not, then we have to go back to the drawing board and start asking why. Curiosity did not kill the cat. And getting curious is what's going to get you answers. And if you need help taking a deep dive and taking that look at the whys and how to get a better reaction, whether it's at work, whether it's at home with your family, your friends, whatever the situation is, because this works in every scenario. Book a call. I'm happy to help. We'll have a conversation. And if I can help you, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you I can help you. And if I can, I'm going to be honest about that too. But we won't know until you book a call. So it is Moksha Grace /coaching. And again, you don't have to agree to anything except a conversation. That's it. That's all. Do something different. Give yourself a gift. It is the week of love. So give yourself some self-love. Whether it's talking to somebody that can help you, whether it's doing something special for yourself and spoiling yourself, whether it's spending time with the people you love, hence the week of love. But do something that is going to make you smile and make your heart sing, whatever that may be. So that is it for today. Thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, we will be going live again. Check the schedule. We have a whole week lined up, and tomorrow is the big day, but we're going to continue until Thursday and Friday too. So thank you for being here. Remember, you have choices. You can wake up every morning, and it can be the best day, and it can be the worst day. You get to choose. So choose wisely, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow.